And welcome back to Jeeping for Beginners, folks. Once again, my name is Josh, and today we are inside of our shop up here at J4B Overland Solutions, and we have a hell of a project that's going on behind me, as I'm sure you can tell if you take a look around. But that actually sparked the importance of this video. It is a topic we have covered multiple times on this channel, and we are going to cover it once again. And that is going to be, what does it take to actually maintain the engine that's under the hood of your Jeep? So I don't care if you've got the 3.6 Pentastar, if you've got the 3.8, or you got the 2.0 turbo, or even if you're running a 3.0 diesel. If you want to make sure that it's going to last a good long time and you don't want to end up in the shop doing this, then believe me, you are going to want to stick around and pay attention to what I got to say. Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel. So like I said in the introduction, we are going to be talking about what we can do to protect your engine. And the reason why this particular subject came up, especially this week in the shop, is because of the project that I have going on here behind me. So as I said in the introduction, it doesn't matter whether we're talking about the 3.6, the 3.8, the 2.0, or the diesel, or even the 392, it doesn't matter. This principle is going to apply no matter what the situation. So as you can see around me, I have got a beautiful blown up 3.6 liter hanging on my cherry picker that's all torn apart. Now, the reason that we took it out and tore it apart is because this particular motor went boom, boom, and decided it no longer wanted to run. So the Jeep you've seen in the last couple of videos that's been here in the shop at Overland Solutions is getting a heart transplant. Now, the owner of this particular vehicle has only had it for about 4 months. So after this whole situation went down, he was like, please, at the very least, could you at least determine what the failure was so that I can know either what not to do in the future, or so that other people can learn from this experience and not have to spend the thousands upon thousands of dollars necessary in order to actually remedy this issue. So the good news is, folks, is here in just a little bit, I am actually going to show you the actual failure on this motor. But first, I want to talk about it. So it was actually extremely simple. All right. One little change in the history of this vehicle would have prevented this entire mess. So can you guess what that is? Based on the other videos I have on this channel and what I've been preaching for the last couple of years, I bet you can. But before we dive into it, let me show you a couple of things that might give away the clue as to what started the failure on this motor. Now listen, I am always talking about proper maintenance. Okay, now proper maintenance does not necessarily mean tear it down and rebuild it on a regular basis. It just means take care of what you have. All right. In a couple of my videos, I talked about the frequency in which you should be doing an oil change on your motor. Actually, when I brought that up, there was a lot of debate in the comments about whether or not I was correct. Now, first of all, Chrysler, for the last, 10, 15 years, because they've switched to a synthetic based oil, has stated you can go 10,000 miles between oil changes. Please, for the love of God, do not do that. 5,000 miles is probably the max. Look, I don't care if it's a conventional oil, synthetic blend, or a full synthetic oil, okay? It's not the oil that we're concerned about when we're talking about these longevity. It's the oil filter. Doesn't matter. The oil filter is only going to last about 4,000, 5,000 miles. And then after that, it's absolute garbage. So what are you doing? You're basically burning used oil through the engine. Look, I'm not going to get into the actual details, but staying on top of your oil changes religiously with clean oil and a clean filter every 5,000 miles actually would have probably prevented this issue. So here, I'm going to flip the camera around. I'm going to show you how I know that simple oil changes is actually where the failure was in this motor. You ready? Check this out. This is inside the timing cover. If you look, this is all scored and dirty. All right. Now, it is actually supposed to be nice and clean, just like this chain. All right. And it should stay clean all the time. Oil is supposed to do that. This residue is actually an indication that oil was not changed on a regular basis and that this motor was actually well past due multiple times. There's something else to consider in here. You see this guy? This is a hydraulically powered tensioner for the actual timing chain itself. Okay. There's one on this bank. There's one down here on this bank. And there's one all the way down here for your actual oil pump that goes across the bottom. Now, these tensioners are supposed to keep tension on this chain. All right. This one is actually locked up and it won't move. This one is so freaking loose, it just bounces around and you can actually hear it. So that also tells me that the oil that has been lubricating this has not been the healthiest oil in the world. Now, when you look on top and you look around, you can see once again the areas where the oil has burnt and scored on your cams. You can see where the oil residue is. I mean, it's everywhere. So not changing the oil is probably the number one thing to be concerned about. But listen, not changing the oil isn't the cause of the failure. It is the leading cause. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. Take this bottle of water, okay? It's nice and clean. If I drink it, it's going to be very refreshing. And it's actually going to do its job, give me some hydration, and keep me from basically dying of thirst. Now, if I were to take this bottle and add a bunch of dirt and slime and residue to it, does that mean that it's not still water? Of course it's still water. It's just dirty water. Now, if I drink the dirty water that's in that bottle that I just filled up with a bunch of slime and residue, is the water the actual cause of my failure? Or is it just leading to the cause of my failure? I want you to think about that. Because if you drink water that's been contaminated or even poisoned, then the actual failure that's going to happen is organ shutdown, right? Okay. So now we're on to something. Organ shutdown. So bad oil, lack of oil changes over the course of this engine's life. And let me show you what the actual failure. Now, you don't have to be a mechanic to really understand this. I'm going to try to explain this in very simple terms. Okay. This part of the chain is a different color than the rest. Okay. This is part of the timing to make sure that this chain is actually put on in the correct order and that the heads turn at the same speed as the pistons and everything works correctly. So up on top, you have two more that are marked a different color. Okay. So like I said, you don't need to be a mechanic to really understand that there are three marks on a timing chain. Those three marks correspond with arrows in order to get them to line up so that one, you know that your motor is at top dead center. Two, you know that your intake valves are going to open on the correct stroke. Your exhaust valves are going to open on the correct stroke. And both sets of valves are going to close on the correct strokes. It's basic auto mechanics 101. Okay, so you understand that point 1, 2, and 3 need to line up. All right, now let me show you points 1, 2, and 3. So point 1 is actually right where it's supposed to be, right at the bottom. Point 2, we got an arrow. This is the exhaust cam, okay? And that arrow, well, yeah, that's pretty much right there. So here's point 3. Oh, shit, look at that. The arrow is, well, the arrow is supposed to be right there. All right, so another quick lesson, okay? These guys right here are what are called cam phasers, all right? These phasers are adjustable. They're adjustable by the oil pressure or by the command of the computer in the vehicle to adjust the timing, either to advance it or retard it, usually by only a fraction of a degree or whatnot, depending upon the demand of the motor. The purpose is to improve efficiency, improve the fuel economy. It's look, they've been doing it for years. Okay. But, anyways, so how, in order for that to work, inside of this is actually spring loaded. And it's spring loaded so that it can actually adjust back and forth. So, what happens if you starve it for oil because you're not doing your oil changes correctly or on time? Well, that spring isn't getting lubricated. The cams are not getting properly lubricated. The chain, which we already determined the tensioners weren't working right, is not getting properly lubricated, which is going to allow that cam phaser to basically fall right out of sync. So we saw that the arrow is supposed to be here. That's actually way down here. So basically, what that means is that the timing, okay, spun about 180 degrees. Now, fixable. If that's all it was, and it was just one side, believe it or not, that's actually fixable, and it's a common problem with the 3.6s. But the other side is exactly the same way. Check this out: exhaust, intake. Oh shit! Look at that. Intake is even further off. So it was actually both sides. Now, again, fixable. New cam phasers, retime it. You might be able to save it, but it's an interference engine. So in this particular case, when that happened, it was actually moving at a pretty good click. So what's going to happen? Well, if your valves aren't opening in the correct order or the compression is off, well, other stuff's going to happen. So let me show you what we found when we took the oil pan off the bottom of this motor. All of this debris right here is what came out of the oil pan on the bottom of this motor. Clean water. All right, so we were able to determine exactly what the failure of this motor is and trace it back, honestly, to it was probably improper care over its lifetime. Now, the owner, like I mentioned before, has only had this Jeep for a couple of months, and he bought it from a dealership, one of those little used car dealerships or whatever the case may be. So he didn't meet the previous owner. So there wasn't really a whole lot of communication on what the history on this vehicle was. Well, thanks to modern day technology and services that you can find pretty much searching anywhere through Google, we took the VIN number, we ran it through Carfax and a couple of other places, and we found the history on this Jeep. So during the first part of its life, and I mean first part, I mean like the first 80,000 miles worth of use, this vehicle belonged to a rental agency. That rental agency, although they did maintain the vehicle on, I guess, what you could call a regular basis, according to the history report we were able to find, changed the oil between 10 to 12,000 miles over and over and over again. So during the first 80,000 miles, it had only had 7 oil changes. After that, it went to another owner, which we're not exactly sure what they did with it, because once it was sold and registered, it never made it back to a service center that actually recorded on the Carfax report until it was sold at auction and bought by this owner. So we've got history for the first 80,000 miles showing that the oil changes were not done on a regular basis. And then we have a lack of history between 80,000 and the 120 something that this thing has now. So, yeah, lack of maintenance. That's absolutely what will do it. Folks, folks, the reason why I wanted to make this video and I wanted to show you what we found on this motor is to simply reiterate the importance of staying on top of the maintenance. Now, in this particular case, we're talking about the engine oil, but we could find the exact same thing if we look inside the transmission. We might find the exact same thing if we look inside the cooling system or the hydraulic braking system or the power steering system. Folks, these fluids are there not to annoy you. They're not there to make it an expensive vehicle to own. And this is true no matter what car. It doesn't even matter if we're talking about a Dodge Chrysler or Jeep product. I don't care if you own a Toyota or a Hummer or a Mercedes. It doesn't matter. These fluids are there to lubricate, they're there to clean, and they're there to take care of the moving parts and the internals on this very expensive machinery. If you do not change them, maintain them, or clean them on a regular basis, then you know what? You're going to end up right here in my shop with me, and we're going to be doing this for you. So, yes, the point is oil changes. What are they? 60 bucks, 80 bucks a pop? Unless you've got the diesel, which is like $300. Sorry about that, but still needs to be done every 5,000 miles or less, not or more, but or less. Your cooling system, you should replace that fluid every 60,000 miles if you use it on the road, every 30,000 miles or sooner if you use it off road on a regular basis. Your power steering fluid should be removed and replaced to maintain the internals of those components. Your transmission. I know it scares a lot of people. I know it's expensive. It could be $4, $5, $6, $7, $800 to do a transmission service. Replace the fluid on a regular basis and take care of it because all it's trying to do is protect your investment. So, folks, as much as I would love to make all the money in the world replacing engines and to have everybody come up here and have it done, the truth of the matter is a $60 oil change on a regular basis would have saved about $12,000. But now, since we are replacing the motor, you want to talk about what we're doing to the Jeep? This is actually pretty cool. So check this out. So the guy who owns it is like, well, look, I mean, I understand that obviously it probably wasn't maintained very well, and I want to make sure that it's perfect, and I want a new motor, and blah 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 blah. So we talked about the options of putting a used engine in it. We talked about the options of getting a brand new one from Dodge or whatever the case may be. So here's what we decided on. There is a company out in Missouri called Extreme Performance that actually rebuilds the 3.6 liter with upgraded forged internals capable of withstanding the power and torque of adding such things as a turbocharger or a supercharger for the high performance aspect of it. Of course, the majority of what they sell are for more for like your Chargers and Challengers and so on and so forth. But we contacted them and they said, absolutely, it's the same engine. We can build you a nice strong one for the Wrangler. So check this out, guys. We got an actual performance, fully timed, upgraded 3.6 to put in this bad boy. In fact, the plastic is coming off and it's getting dressed and being installed tomorrow. So I'm really anxious to see what's going to happen there. But in addition, he's like, well, what are the other common failures? Well, we had a common failure such as plastic parts, the plastic oil cooler, the plastic intake, the plastic thermostat housing on every one of these that leaks. If you can see, that one is just nasty, right? It's all plastic. So we actually went all in. We got an aluminum intake. We got an aluminum oil cooler. We got an aluminum thermostat. We got all aluminum components. We upgraded the hoses. We're upgrading the fuel injectors. We're putting an MSD ignition system on it. We're installing a high flow 80 millimeter throttle body assembly. We are actually going to have some fun with this. So it maybe we could call it a silver lining. Yeah, it sucks that the motor let go, but when we're done, this bad boy is going to be one smooth running JK. So I'll leave it to you. Over the course of the next couple of days, as we get this thing back together and back on the road, do you want to see all these really cool components and see what the finished product is? put that down in the comments below because I'd love to hear it from you. But irregardless, folks, please remember the point of all of this, okay? Thousands of dollars worth of parts, labor, weeks worth of time waiting on parts, actually doing the work. All of this could have been avoided had regular service intervals been followed and proper maintenance on the vehicle. So, how are you going to take care of your engine that you have under the hood? Well, I hope if you got anything out of this video, that it's going to be to change that oil on a regular basis or sooner religiously so that you can keep it clean, keep it lubricated, keep it protected, and keep it running so you don't have to do what we're doing here. Anyways, folks, listen, if you have any questions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can shoot me an email at yasmarproductions@gmail.com, which is in the description down below this video, or feel free to check out some of the cool stuff that's happening here at J4B Overland Solutions. Next week, we're doing bumpers and LED lighting package on an older Jeep. I'm super excited about that. I'll try to grab some video content. And next week, we're also going to be in the position to do some filming to readdress the whole Jeep Death Wobble situation. And I'm going to show you something that might actually blow your mind even more than the original video I made 3 years ago on that subject. So you're going to want to stick around for that. Also, folks, what's happening in just a couple of weeks, we have some fresh content that is going up on our Patreon channel. If you have not checked out the really cool project that is about to take place that you could also be a part of, and I really mean that, I want you to be a part of this project, then the very first link in the description down below this video will take you directly over to our Patreon channel where you can check out a welcome video that explains in detail exactly what we're going to be doing over there. So it ain't going to be here on YouTube, folks. And I might tease it from time to time, but if you really want to check out the cool stuff happening here at J4B Overland Solutions, you're going to want to check out what's going on our Patreon channel. Anyways, links to my websites are also down below. My affiliate link for Amazon, if you need anything, definitely it supports the channel. It's only a couple of bucks per purchase, but you know what? Every little bit helps. And we really appreciate use the affiliate link down in the description below. So listen, folks, in the meantime, like I said, if you have any questions, please reach out. I'm here. I don't bite. You can text, call, email. All of that information is down below. In the meantime, folks, please change your oil on a regular basis. Take care of your machine so that you don't have to be in the situation to replace major organs in your vehicle. So once again, my name is Josh. This is Jeeping for Beginners. Wishing you a wonderful 2026 as we're kicking it off. Fantastic. So remember, folks, please stay safe and happy Jeeping. We'll see you next time.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, bitch, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters. And we ain't got nothing to hide, we move forward like soldiers. You better wake up.